Hey Pam, I've been seeing these sheriff sales and I understand about the foreclosure sales, but could you tell me the difference?
Phil, that is a good question. The question about judicial foreclosure versus non-judicial foreclosure. Elsa, my guest today, who knows this far better than I, Elsa Lewis,
yes. Judicial
foreclosures involve a sheriff's sale.
Yes.
Non-judicial involve a trustee, I guess, appointed by the
Yes.
bank. Tell me.
Right.
I don't
In
get
the
it.
judicial foreclosures, that is usually gone through the courts with an attorney.
Yes.
So once it goes through the court and the court adjudicates that action, then they appoint a sheriff that will conduct the sheriff's sale. In a non-judicial state, trustee sale, they don't go through that court action. They appoint a trustee who then processes that foreclosure and conducts the sale.
So the reason for, I guess you have no control over it, the state does what they do, but
Yes.
the beauty of a non-judicial is it goes much faster because it doesn't have to get in line at the court and wait for the court system to adjudicate, right?
Exactly, right. It's much quicker and much smoother process.
But is there more surety of merchantability of title or whatever
No.
with a sheriff's sale versus a trustee sale?
No, you get a trustee's deed or a sheriff's deed. They're the same.
Okay, so now I have a question. I know it's in minutia, but it's always been a wonderment to me. When the mortgage servicer, the bank, appoints a trustee, why don't they do it? Why don't they have somebody at the bank do it? Is it arm's length situation?
Yes, and they're not knowledgeable. This is not a skill set they have, and it is somebody that they want a third party doing it. They direct the trustee on certain elements of it, but the trustee is knowledgeable of it. The court appoints them to do it, and it's much easier for a trustee to
So now if
conduct
I'm an
it.
investor, and I, of course, am only investing in my state, I don't have much choice. I'm either in a judicial state or a non-judicial state. But if I'm an investor that can invest anywhere,
Yes.
do I have to care? I mean, do I just look for
Not
my
really.
property and
No,
press on?
That's exactly right. The first step is finding a property you want to buy. Or looking in a state, knowing when their foreclosure or their trustee or their sheriff's sale is, and then making arrangements to be there or give a power of attorney to someone who will be there in your behalf to buy a property or properties.
Okay. So once I attended a trustee, courthouse foreclosure sale down in Dallas.
Yes.
And I was struck by the number of investors there with clipboards, and it was huge.
Yes.
And then the auctioneer didn't have a microphone that you would normally have. They were
Yes.
quiet, which I guess
Right. they're
supposed to be quiet. It's on the courthouse steps.
Yes, and we're not used to that in auction because it's an outcry usually, and it's loud. But of course, there's more than one auctioneer, and then there's also what they call posting and publishing companies that are reading documents, so they don't want them conflicting with each other. So you have to know as the buyer, the investor, what you want to buy and where, and then plan to be at those locations in front
So
of
this
the
posting
steps.
and publishing thing was kind of interesting because I saw
Yes.
little ladies kind of with papers up in front of their face, mumbling off information about a property, and they're behind a card table, and occasionally somebody would run up and say, hey, I wanted to bid on that, but it would be too late.
Right.
Now that's in contrast to the auction company who's actually saying this is an auction, step forward, we're going to sell this property on the screen. So why is somebody selling them and posting and publishing and not selling them over here?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's been done by posting and publishing companies through the trustee for years. It's just been the way they've done it. That's really as simple
So
as
like
it
a
is.
legal formality.
Yes, it's just a legal formality. I'm going to read it. And prior to the auction companies doing this, their sales to third-party investors was about 5 to 7% is all.
Yeah, I can imagine. Blah, blah, blah.
People don't even know. But with the auction companies, that's our expertise. That's
Right.
what we do and we know. And so that's why companies started hiring auction companies. Those third-party sales, what we call third-party sales, sales to investors,
Right.
other than the bank taking it back, have gone from 5 to 7% up to as high as 75 to 80%. So then the banks don't have to take those back.
I see.
So now they're hiring auction companies to do these sales.
So I go to the courthouse steps, I see 400 people jamming around the auctioneer, and it's a little intimidating if you've never been an investor, and certainly if you're a mom and pop just saying, hey, I think I'd like to buy a house.
Right.
So you step forward, and the auction begins, and I discover that all these people have done their homework long before they've been to the
yes.
courthouse steps. I mean, they know the neighborhoods, they know the price of everything. I mean, they are like little miniature databases
Yes.
about these houses.
Yes.
And they come prepared, circled, and they have their cash. It's 100% cash, isn't it? at these
Yes,
sales?
cash that day.
So you got to know what you're doing.
Yes.
And I'm all good with that. I'm thinking, okay, I could do this. And then I hear some of the things you have to know about the houses, which
Yes.
is you can't get in them
Right.
to look at them.
Exactly.
Why can't I get in?
Well, somebody's probably living there, and prior to that date, it's still owned by the homeowner. It'd be like you owning your home.
Somebody just
yet
popped in.
Somebody pops in. They want to get in your house and see your house.
Okay.
So, yes, somebody owns the home and probably is still in there.
And that somebody can, I hear on occasion, have gotten wind that this is coming down or been told it's coming down. And so they start maybe destroying what's inside the house, right?
Could be, yes.
So I'm buying
unfortunately, yeah.
kind of a black box because I can't see in there.
Yes.
I don't know if it's got plumbing or copper or whatever it's got, right?
Right. That it's sight unseen, really, except from the outside. So usually they're posting deadlines by the state statutes.
Right.
So in Texas, they're posted 21 days in advance. So when those lists come out, everybody sees those lists that's interested, the savvy investors, buyers, and they're doing their homework. They're doing research, they're driving the neighborhoods, they're seeing if this is something they want. They're probably looking up what the rentals could be in that area, or repairing and turning out and reselling. So they are knowledgeable. And by the time the auction, foreclosure auction comes up, they know what they're doing. Now, they can't get inside, so they don't know the inside, but I'm sure they're taking a certain percentage of risk, and they know about what it would take to repair that property.
So I figure out kind of what I think it's going to be worth without looking inside, and I make my decision about what I'm going to put in it, and I know what my return's going to be.
Yes.
I step up on the courthouse steps, I buy it, but I still got that guy who lives in there.
Yes.
Hopefully wanting to be my happy tenant and not my friend with a gun. So they don't have to, I mean, sometimes they don't move, right? They go, I don't want to move.
That's right.
And you have to evict.
Absolutely.
Now it's a whole different skill set. What do you do about that?
Well, again, do your homework. That's the most important thing. First of all, know the laws of your state. If they are tenant at will or sufferance, they usually have 3 days to move once you
Now,
give them
tenant at
eviction
will or
papers.
sufferance means they're there,
There's
but I'm
no
not
lease.
necessarily wanting them there, and I'm
Right.
just leaving them there till I decide I'm going to evict them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then you give them the notice of eviction, and when they have no lease, then they have 3 days to move. If they don't move, then you have to file another legal action to get them out. If they do have a lease and they're paying rent, make sure you know what your state laws and the federal laws say. There is a Protection Tenant Act of 2009, and that does protect tenants, so know what those laws are. Do your research. That's the main thing. Know what you're doing before you bid on that property and own it.
And, very many times I hear that they're happy to have a new owner. They simply
Yes.
want to know where they write their rent check. You've already got a tenant, so you
Yes.
don't have to go fix the place up and look for a renter. So it can be a win-win situation. You just have to know going in what you're looking at.
That's absolutely right. And there are laws protecting soldiers, the Soldiers Sailors Relief Act. So if anyone's in the military and owns that home, there are special laws for that as well. So it's important to know what these are.
So
by
everybody's
state.
got to do their homework.
Yes, got to do
All
your
right.
homework.
We're going to talk about, despite the many challenges that are involved in buying a house on the courthouse steps, there's big money to be made in it if you're smart. We're going to talk about that with Elsa Lewis on Pam McKissick, Without Reserve.
All kinds of people are buying at the courthouse steps and making a lot of money doing it.